Have you ever felt completely drained after spending time with people, even those you supposedly like? Do you sometimes find yourself making excuses to avoid social gatherings, preferring the sanctuary of your own company? Have you noticed that quiet sense of relief that washes over you when plans get cancelled, giving you permission to stay home? You're not broken, you're not antisocial, and you're certainly not alone. Today, I'm going to reveal 7 reasons why intelligent people often prefer their own company, and how this preference might actually be a sign of emotional wisdom, rather than a social deficiency. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand your own tendencies better, but you'll also discover how to navigate a world that seems perpetually designed for extroverts. Lesson number 1. The overstimulation factor. The modern world is an assault on our senses. Bright screens, constant notifications, background music in every store, and the expectation to be continuously available. It's exhausting for anyone, but particularly for those with keen awareness. Intelligent individuals often process information more deeply. What might be a simple conversation for some becomes a multi-layered analysis for others. You're not just hearing words, you're reading facial expressions, interpreting tone, predicting responses, and analyzing subtext, all simultaneously and often unconsciously. As Seneca wrote, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." This constant processing creates a form of mental taxation that few discuss. Each social interaction becomes not just an exchange of pleasantries, but a complex web of psychological computations. When you leave a social gathering feeling inexplicably tired, it's not laziness, it's your mind recovering from hours of intensive processing. Your preference for solitude might simply be your system's intelligent response to prevent overload. This isn't weakness. It's actually your mind's sophisticated self-preservation mechanism at work. By recognizing this pattern, you can begin to structure your social engagements in ways that acknowledge this reality rather than fighting against it. Lesson number 2. The quality over quantity principle. For the discerning mind, not all social interactions are created equal. Many intelligent people find themselves starving for meaningful conversation in a world that often celebrates the superficial. Think about it. How many times have you sat through conversations about celebrity gossip, trivial complaints, or endless small talk when your mind craves discussion about ideas, possibilities, or deeper questions? It's like being offered a diet of candy when what you really hunger for is a nourishing meal. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." When faced with the choice between shallow social connections and solitude, many thinking individuals choose the latter, not because they dislike people, but because they value substance. This selectivity extends beyond conversation topics to the people themselves. You might find yourself gravitating toward the few who stimulate your mind and nurture your spirit, while diplomatically avoiding those who drain you regardless of how socially acceptable or popular they might be. This isn't elitism, it's discernment. And there's wisdom in recognizing that your time and mental energy are finite resources worth investing wisely. Lesson number 3, the self-sufficient mind. While many people use social interaction as their primary source of entertainment and emotional regulation, more independent thinkers often develop a rich inner world that provides fulfillment without external input. Reading, creating, learning, reflecting, these solitary activities aren't just pastimes for intelligent individuals, they're essential nourishment. The ability to generate your own satisfaction rather than depending on others for stimulation is actually a remarkable strength. Epictetus noted, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." This self-sufficiency often manifests as a preference for time alone, not because you fear others, but because you've discovered the profound joy of your own company. Consider how many great thinkers, writers, and artists throughout history have valued their solitude. From Einstein to Thoreau to Woolf, many creative minds have recognized that their most valuable insights emerge not from constant social engagement, but from periods of intentional isolation. This doesn't mean rejecting connection entirely, but rather understanding that meaningful solitude is not something to be feared or avoided. It's a productive space where your mind can truly flourish. Lesson number 4, the authenticity burden. There's an exhausting performance aspect to many social situations that intelligent people often find particularly draining. The unspoken expectations to modulate your enthusiasm, censor your opinions, or present a carefully curated version of yourself, it all requires a type of emotional labor that can feel dishonest. For the thoughtful person, this creates a dilemma, what Epictetus described when he said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The choice often feels binary, either conform to social expectations and feel inauthentic, or be yourself and risk judgment. Many choose a third option, selective solitude. Alone or with trusted companions, you can drop the mask. You can express enthusiasm without worrying it's too much. You can dive into topics that genuinely interest you without watching for glazed over eyes. You can simply exist without performing. This isn't mere comfort seeking. There's an ethical dimension to this choice, a commitment to authenticity even when it's inconvenient. By limiting exposure to situations that require extensive social posturing, you preserve something precious, your connection to your true self. Lesson number 5, the empathy overload. Have you noticed how some people seem to absorb the emotions around them like a sponge? This heightened empathy, while a gift in many ways, can make social settings emotionally overwhelming. Intelligent people often possess this sensitivity, picking up not just on what's being explicitly communicated, but on the unspoken undercurrents of anxiety, competition, or discontent that flow beneath the surface of many interactions. Imagine walking into a room and instantly sensing who's having a bad day, who's putting on a brave face, who's secretly uncomfortable. While others might enjoy the gathering obliviously, you're processing all this emotional data, often without conscious choice. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. This empathic burden can create a form of emotional taxation that makes recovery time essential. Your preference for solitude might simply be your system's way of creating space to process and reset from this empathic overload. This sensitivity isn't a weakness to overcome, but a capacity to honor. By recognizing this pattern, you can develop practices that allow you to maintain this empathic gift without becoming overwhelmed by it. Lesson number 6, the productivity paradox. For many intelligent individuals, there's a frustrating awareness of time as a finite resource. Every moment spent in unsatisfying social obligation is a moment not invested in pursuits that feel meaningful or productive. This isn't about cold efficiency, it's about purpose. When you have ideas to explore, projects to complete, or knowledge to acquire, superficial socializing can feel not just empty but actively obstructive to your deeper goals. Seneca captured this sentiment perfectly when he wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Many productive minds experience a particular frustration with social expectations that seem to prioritize appearance over substance, presence over purpose. This doesn't mean all social interaction feels wasteful. Conversations that spark new ideas, collaborations that create something meaningful, or connections that provide genuine support can be incredibly valuable. The discernment lies in distinguishing between social engagements that enrich your path versus those that merely divert it. By becoming more intentional about where and with whom you spend your social energy, you create space for both meaningful connection and purposeful solitude. Lesson number 7, the liberation of low expectations. Perhaps the most freeing realization for many intelligent people who prefer solitude is this: not everyone needs the same level of social interaction to thrive. The societal narrative that constant connection is essential for well-being simply isn't universally true. Epictetus advised, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." Applied to social life, this wisdom suggests focusing less on meeting external expectations and more on understanding your own authentic needs. Some people genuinely recharge through extensive social contact, while others find their equilibrium with minimal but meaningful connection. Neither pattern is inherently better or worse. They're simply different expressions of human diversity. When you stop judging your social preferences against arbitrary standards, something remarkable happens. The anxiety about not being social enough dissolves. The guilt about cancelled plans fades. The pressure to conform to extroverted ideals lifts. In its place comes a quiet confidence, a recognition that your path to well-being might look different from others. And that's not just okay, it's exactly as it should be. The true measure of social health isn't quantity but quality, not conformity but authenticity, not constant availability but meaningful presence when you do engage. So where does this leave us? Understanding why you might prefer solitude isn't about justifying isolation or rejecting connection entirely. Rather, it's about honoring your authentic nature while finding balanced ways to meet your social needs on your own terms. As Seneca wisely noted, withdraw into yourself as far as you can. Associate with those who will make a better person of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. Perhaps the most stoic approach is neither to reject society completely nor to conform unconsciously to its demands, but to engage intentionally, choosing when, how, and with whom you connect based on your values rather than external pressures. By understanding these 7 reasons, you gain not just self-knowledge, but the freedom to design a social life that genuinely nourishes rather than depletes you. And in a world that often mistakes mere business for meaning, that discernment might be the greatest wisdom of all.